So let's talk about a certificate of occupancy. Whether you're buying or selling a home here in the Lehigh Valley, you might hear the words certificate of occupancy or a clean CO. Different municipalities have different rules, and the rules vary from city to city, township to township. Some municipalities require a certificate of an occupancy each time you sell a property or when a property changes from owner occupied to tenant occupied. Here in the Valley, Allentown, Bethlehem, Whitehall, and Easton all require a certificate of inspection with the resale of a property. If that's what you're here to learn, you're in the right place. Hi, my name is Tiffany. I'm a local realtor here in the Allentown area. My office is over by the Walmart in Allentown, Chick-fil-A. Just to give you an idea of where the vicinity is. If you need an agent to help you sell or buy, I am happy to help. I will leave my contact information below in the description box, and I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, so the pre-sales inspection procedure is required regardless if you are using an agent, if you are selling as is, or if you are selling as a for sale by owner. The certificate of inspection is a permit proving that the property has been reviewed by a city official and by city standards, the house or building is in livable condition. The city of Allentown wants to make sure the property is up to date with housing and building codes and safe and suitable for you to live in. As of right now, August 2022, the cost is $100. If it's a rental property with more than 3 units, the price does go up. The application can be found on the city's website and mailed in, or you can visit City Hall to complete the application and submit the fee. There is no way to submit the application online at this time that I am aware of, but I will leave a link to the application in the description box under this video. So, when should you do it? The City of Allentown website states they want you to request the inspection a minimum of 5 days prior to offering the property for sale. But what if you didn't know? It's okay. Just request it as soon as you do know. Okay? Okay. So what should you expect? So after your application is received, the responsible party will likely give you a call to schedule a time to visit your property and perform the inspection. They will be looking at the outside as well as the inside. Inside, they're doing a general building structure check, looking for holes in the wall, stuff like that. They'll look under your sinks at the plumbing for leaks. They'll also check like electrical outlets, cable outlets. They will absolutely check that smoke and monoxide detectors are in operating condition, so make sure they work. They do have a list of common code violations that you can review and update prior to your inspector arriving. It's a good idea to review this list. I will link it below in the description box so you can reference it pretty quickly. So here are a few examples to give you an idea of what happens at the inspection. My very first client had the hot water heater replaced at the buyer's request. Okay, it just happened to be when the inspector came, and it was in between when the new hot water heater was installed, but they hadn't yet removed the old one. So that went on the inspection report. Okay, another big one is the windows have to be capable of staying open on their own. I thought a client would have to end up having all their windows replaced, but they didn't. Apparently, windows have springs, and they ended up just needing to order the springs and have the springs replaced in the windows. I talked about this before. Smoke detectors. Rule of thumb, put one on every floor and then go back and put one inside every bedroom. Outside, what are they looking for? They're looking for street numbers, as an example. They want to make sure that they're visible from the road. I was told that this is for fire, ambulance, police to be able to find the residents in case of emergency. Okay? The purpose of obtaining a certificate of occupancy is to prove that, according to the city, the house or building is in livable condition. It also ensures the property is being used as intended. People make changes to their homes all the time. They just want to make sure those changes are up to code. You know, everybody's uncle or dad is an electrician, and it might not necessarily be being done the way it should be done, you know? Floors are uneven, that type of stuff is what they're looking for. Now, if it's tenant occupied, they will re-inspect your property every 5 years after you've brought it to compliance. Now, if your property passed when you took possession, great. However, if building safety standards have changed when you go to sell, updates may be necessary for the property to meet current compliance guidelines. Now, without a CO, the property cannot legally be occupied, and the city of Allentown will put an ugly occupancy unlawful sign on your door. Occupancy unlawful is not the same as unfit for habitation. I'm not trying to startle you or scare anyone. I just want to let you know that it happens. Now, after the inspection, if there were no violations, great. You will receive what we in the biz like to call a clean CO. You will provide this to your buyer at closing. Okay, now if violations were found, they will provide you a notice of code violations with a brief description for the things that they want you to repair. Okay, 1, you can challenge your violation. If you have questions, ask. You only have a small window for objection, so do it as quickly as possible. I once had a client violation indicate that the porch needed repaired, and when they inquired, like, well, what needs to be repaired, they wrote back, complied. So definitely speak up if you have questions. Don't guess, okay? 2, you will likely have to make some changes. On the cover of the notice that they give you, the officer will give you a time frame to get the changes completed, along with a time and a date for reinspection. You can have your home listed for sale while you're working on the violations. Yeah, so it doesn't hold you up from selling your property. Now, if you are done sooner, you can certainly reach out and request an earlier date. Just keep in mind that you should do it as soon as you know so that you can get an appointment on the official schedule. Okay, so just make sure that you do that. Give yourself time. Okay. Now, there is no charge when the inspector comes back. However, if the violation is not up to code when they come back, there is a fee if the inspector has to return after that. Okay. Now, once an inspection has been completed and complied, you'll receive a signed report, and that's a clean CO. I said all that, but I also need to explain that there is an exception. Sellers do not need a certificate of occupancy to sell their homes. Okay, over these last 2 years in this hyper competitive sellers market, sellers would complete the inspection with the city, and then they would list their home with a copy of the inspection report, leaving the responsibility for the repairs on the buyer. Okay, now what happens then is the buyer knows what's on the report. They have an idea of what it's going to cost. They know what's needed to bring it to code, and they can then determine if they are okay with completing the necessary violations or if they just want to move on and opt for a different house. Okay, at closing, the buyer signs what's called an acceptance report, acknowledging that they have received the report and accepting the responsibility for bringing the house to code. Bottom line, getting a certificate of occupancy can be a lengthy and can sometimes also be expensive. In most cases, there's a good reason to have this document. Just think, you've been to other people's houses. We all have a different standard of living. The city of Allentown is attempting to provide a bare minimum for a safe living environment. That's how I like to think of it. If you're a seller, it's best to start the process as soon as you can and just get it over with. And if you need help, give me a call. I'm here to help. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.